to the 16th floor. I just need a little more. Rocking out to Lone Shore, making the things swing back and forth. Look at us, we're out of sorts. Thank God we're not keeping score. Losing our mind to cannibal chords, making that thing swing back and forth.
Hey guys, Augiesaint here and welcome in. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day, and as you saw in the intro there, Enzo can do some serious damage once you actually mod him up. Now the mod that we are using on him in the build we have focused around is the Supply Firearm Enhancer. This is not only very strong for you individually, but it also buffs your team and we get crazy amounts of buffs. So have a look at this. We have this at a cooldown of 11 seconds, duration of 24 seconds, so pretty much this is always going to be up. And how this works is it actually goes to your current magazine. So like my tamer, for example, has a 130 round magazine. It will buff all your bullets in the mag, so we can shoot out the 130 rounds, reload, and we reapply the buff. And now the next magazine of the tamer has this buff again. The buff is 15% weak point damage with 29% firearm crit hit rate increase. So that's a lot of damage. Now we can also take the buff a step further with perfect support, which will give us, the main reason we're actually getting this is for the perfect support line at the bottom there. As you can see, firearm attack increases by 20% as well as firearm crit hit rate increased by 20%. Don't worry about the reload time modifier, that doesn't really make too much of a difference. So we have both these buffs up at the same time. We'll pretty much have a 50% crit rate buff on the tamer with 15% weak point damage as well as 20% firearm attack increase. And the best thing about this, it's not only for me, it's for the whole team. So this is a very good supporty build. I did build some pretty decent range on it as well. So we have range, we have crazy shields, and we have crazy cooldown. So we can pretty much spam our shields all the time. And even with my low defensive stats, which I'm going to share with you guys in a second, we can still just, we have to stay alive for 4 seconds. So if you can not die within 4 seconds, you're good because you can pretty much have your shield up and you only have a 4-second downtime on the shield. Now you can take this a step further and add another mod that will actually give you more cooldown, which will then have permanent uptime on your shield, but you do lose something important, which I felt I kind of really needed in the build, was MP. Like we have MP problems if we have everything maxed out for cooldowns, because we can spam everything so much, but we just don't have the MP defeated, as there's not really a good way to get MP back within like intercepts and boss fights. Let me know if you guys know of any crazy ways, but I have not found a good way yet. And most of the MP mods are pretty bad. So let's have a look at this build, because you guys obviously are here for Enzo. If you like Enzo as much as I do, he's really strong and very strong for support, because he just buffs you with tons of damage and gives you infinite ammo. So let's have a look at my build. Obviously, first and foremost, you will need to go and farm yourself the Supply Firearm Enhancer. And this you can get by doing bolts in Vespers. You can farm this with other Enzos. It will drop from the other Enzos. You just need to have Enzos that are opening the vaults, and it can only drop if another Enzo opens the vault or if you open it yourself. We actually got 2 to drop today just in time for the build, so I'm pretty happy about that. And you need that, and so it's going to turn your ammo supply into this buff instead, and you don't really need the ammo from that, as you do get ammo from your perfect support. And the way we have our mods, it's got a 49-second cooldown and has a duration of 15 seconds. So within 20 seconds, the 20 to 25 second of downtime, you definitely should not run out of ammo, so you should never have ammo issues at all. As well as this gives it to the whole group, so really strong overall. And then we have maximized duration. Now this does actually put us into negative skill power. It will go into the negative, so our drone from the perfect support will actually be doing 0 damage hits. Don't worry about that, because you're not going to get the 0 damage hits. And I have tested by trying to boost up this drone. I put on skill power modifiers and boosted it up as high as I could. We were only getting about 8k per hit on the drone, like fully maxed out, building it out. Obviously it could have gone a little bit more, but say about 8 to 10k hits, and then crits as well, like 12 to 13k crits. So basically if you take the whole duration of that drone, that's going to do like 3 shots on your tamer. So you really don't want to go for damage on the drone. You want to maximize your duration and your cooldown, because that drone's buff on you and your teammates is going to give you way more damage than what the little drone is going to do if you're trying to go for a build like this. I'm going to work on another build that will use his other Transcendant mod, which will turn this into like a battle drone, but that's going to be another build for another video. So you want to get as much cooldown and as much duration as you can. The negative skill power modifier doesn't matter at all. Like I said, it's not going to change the buff amount at all either. It doesn't affect any of the buffs. It only affects the damage that the little drone does, as well as the damage on your explosive drone, and this skill you pretty much never use. So having a look then further on, we actually do have skill cost reduction as well as max shields. Now you can see here, I don't have increased defense or increased HP, and you might be thinking to yourself, maybe I'm too squishy. How's he actually doing bosses? Isn't he just going to instantly die? Well, the trick is in the max shields. We have almost 4k shields. We will have over 4k shields once we actually go ahead and put some more catalysts on this guy so we can finish these two mods out. Then we will have even more shields, but you can add a defense mod if you feel like you need it. But I have beaten Frostwalker and Turtle with this build, and I never felt like I was in danger of dying at all. Obviously, I did go down to some random stuff, but I mean, playing well and dodging stuff, I didn't really feel like I was gonna die all the time, and I was pretty tanky. I can pretty much take a hit or take a lot of hits from a lot of the bosses, and as soon as I have my drone up, replying my shields, I can pretty much just face tank anything. I feel like an Ajax having his bubble up. Like I said, you have to survive for 4 seconds. So if you can manage to stay alive for 4 seconds, then your drone will just fill up your shield and you will stay alive. Anyway, think of it basically as an on-demand heal, because it's just going to fill up your shield bar. When you press that, it's going to keep recovering the shield. So what you could also do is pop drone and then you can go raise people, because it just keeps regenerating your shield, and we will be getting more shield overall. So let's have a look there. We got the max shield with the skill cost, and the skill cost is very important because of the cooldowns. You're going to be spamming your skills. So you want to make sure that you have skill cost as well as max MP, which we're going to get down here. So the skill cost is actually really important, because if you don't have this, it just feels pretty bad, because everything is going to be so expensive. You can only use your ultimate like 3 times and then you'll be out of MP. So it's really difficult. So I really suggest getting all these skill costs like I'm showing. And then we move on to the time distribution. We got skill cooldown and max HP. So I got a little HP over there. And this one over here, skill cost and skill power negative again. So this is again going into the negative of the skill power. Doesn't matter. We are getting this for the skill cost. This is actually the saving grace of the build, I found, because I was actually running focus on non-attribute damage and focus on singularity damage to try and get my skill power to not be negative, as well as those mods do have a cooldown. I can show you guys there. So they have 6.1% cooldown. So both of them together, we're getting an extra 12.1% cooldown, but the drone was still doing 0 damage. And that 12% cooldown did bring this down to about, I think it was 42 seconds on the cooldown, somewhere around there. But the MP just felt so bad, like it was just holding me back. I could use my ult maybe 3 times and would be out of MP, because we have to use this every single time we reload on the tamer. Because when you reload, you lose the buff and you don't get the buff from the same tower. So you need to reapply the tower again. As you see there, it does cost 30 MP at base, and then this also costs 60 MP at base. So this is very expensive. So without these cost reduction mods, you're going to struggle a lot unless you get very lucky with like MP dropping from the mobs. But I've tested everything, and this is what I can say is the best that I have found so far. So let's come over to skill extension. Just again, duration. Over here we have skill range and max shield. Now skill range is not that important, but it does make your buff go further, so it can actually get to your allies better. So if you are going to not be playing a selfish Enzo, then this does help out a lot. Especially it's the only other mod that actually gave us shields. We don't really have that many shield mods. So I picked this up as max shield does scale really well with him, because we can just replenish it whenever we feel like. And we have a maxed out increased shield, and then also battle stamina for the maxed out MP, as well as skill duration. Now in the last slot, I actually want to put in agony, which will give us again max MP as well as almost 40% defense. And as you can see with these mods, I did clear Frostwalker and Fire Turtle on stream today. You guys should totally come check out the streams. We're testing all these crazy things every single day, but I did clear it without having any mod over there. So I feel like getting this MP plus that defense will just be a nice little icing on the cake. But if you feel like you want more defense or more HP, go right ahead and slap either of these two on. You're just going to have to put a couple more catalysts in. I think we're going to have to max out the catalyst before I can actually fit one there. As you can see, we're already at 80 capacity there. So I might put a catalyst on this and on this. And then I might actually slap on the agony over there, just for that little sweet little MP on top, you know, just a sweet little cherry on top of the cake. Or we could even go for this over here. Skill cost and then increase range if you want to play even more of like a support role, because the range will obviously make your buff hit your allies from further away. But this, they still need to run over this themselves, but it will increase the range on your supply drone. Personally, I think I'm going to go with the max MP, because once we buff this one up, we should have more than enough range to cover everybody, as long as everybody's, you know, around each other while you are doing the bosses. So it's really up to you what you put in that last slot over there, but I would highly suggest either agony or just flat defense or flat HP. That flat defense 160% is going to give you a massive damage reduction, so you'll be even more tanky on top of your tankiness. But one thing I did actually want to play around with was multi-talented. I haven't tested this out yet, so we'll have to get to some more testing and stuff. But this is one that is interesting to me, and you will get a massive all attribute damage. I believe this goes up to 30% once you actually level it up after you use a singular skill, which is your drone as well as your support drone. And then also on the top line, when you use a dimension skill, you actually get skill cooldown. So I was going to think of trying to use this when we actually use our turret over there, or you can even use this drone because your shield drone is dimension. So use your shield drone to pop your, like the multi-talented buff for the cooldown. And then once you have that 20% cooldown active for 5 seconds, you go ahead and pop this. And it should then give you a 20% cooldown reduction on this, increasing, you know, more uptime on this. But it's going to cost you more MP to actually spam those. But I think how we have the build set up, it could actually work really, really well. I just need to go and put some more catalysts in and try this out. So if anybody has tried out multi-talented, let me know down below in the comments. I'd love to know it. Enzo is like my favorite toy right now, just to see all of the possibilities with him. I've done so much testing today, and MP was the biggest problem for me so far. Let me know what you guys think of him, and let's carry on with the build. So that's basically it for our mods. Now let's actually go ahead and look at our components. So the reactor doesn't really matter that much. You can literally take any reactor that has cooldown and duration up. You see, I unfortunately have a blue cooldown on mine, so if we can get that to roll a gold one, then we could actually get even more cooldown, so that would be much, much better. But ideally for this build that I'm trying to go, I'm just trying to get as much cooldown and as much duration as I can. The damage from my drone, so the damage from my skill power actually does not matter at all. But I do have a last dagger, and I was testing it. This does snapshot. So if I put on the last dagger, and then I have this, obviously you need to not have negative power, so this is also a different build. But just so you guys know, some Enzo tech, it does actually snapshot. So you can snapshot, put this on, equip the right thing so it boosts your skill power, and then you actually summon your drone. And if you don't have negative skill power, your drone will be doing more damage. And then you can just immediately switch off of the weapon once you do summon that supply drone. And the supply drone will keep the actual skill boost buff for the whole duration. Now the components, I'm actually using 2-piece Brave auxiliary power set, as this actually gives you HP recovery and max shield. The HP recovery doesn't really matter, but the max shield is what we want there. Like I said before, we don't really have that many good shield mods. That's why anywhere where I could get max shield, I went for it. So max shield over there plus 12%, and then the rolls we have on the max shield, max HP. Obviously that mod drop, we would like to have that as a resistance or something else, maybe even more max shield or defense or anything else. But you just want to try and get at least shield and HP and defense, you know, like at least 1 defensive line, 2 preferably. This is really good as long as we can drop out that module drop rate. But I actually don't mind it at all, because that's going to increase our module drop rates when we are farming bosses. And then moving on, we have defense, max MP, MP recovery. Now max MP and MP recovery is actually really important, because without that 112 max MP, we would actually have a really low MP pool. We can see there, if we dropped 112 MP, we would be down to like less than 200 MP. And our skill, our main skill uses 40 for the drone, so that's like 4 casts, and then there's 200 MP gone. So the max MP is actually really important, especially the MP recovery in combat does help out quite a bit. And we just have flat defense on the top line. And then for our memory, we are using the 2 set of the Annihilation of here for the skill duration. We have max HP, defense, and shield recovery. All of these great stats. None of these are bad. The defense could be higher. If that was a gold roll, I believe it would be like 4k defense. And then for our processor, we got HP, shield, and shield recovery. Again, really good piece on this. So we did get pretty good with our components. We got pretty lucky. I'm pretty happy with these. If we could maybe change that one, they want to have like near perfect stats on these. And if we could get these a little bit higher, this is what I would aim for. So before you're able to actually farm these different sets, because these are from the hard mode intercepts, don't ask me which ones, but I'm sure you guys will know. All you have to do is search these up in the component list. So if you go to your map, access info, external components, you can search everything up there and I'll show you exactly where it is. So hard mode obstructor is where you will get the braver one. You can see their max shield. So it's very easy to find these. Just go check it out over there. Let's have a look now at our stats. So as you can see, our defense and our HP is actually relatively low. We've only got 9.4k defense and 7.8k HP. So say about 8k HP and 10k defense. But we do have pretty much 4k shields. And once we finish leveling up the mods, we will have over 4k shields. And like I said, we did easily beat Frostwalker as well as the Fire Turtle. No problems that I can face tank anything under those. Like I could totally face tank Devour and everything else while playing in a full team, and the shield just regens so fast. all you got to do is try not to die in 4 seconds. If you can keep yourself alive in 4 seconds, then your shields will keep you alive for the rest of the time. So that's why we can actually not have such a high defense. And like I said before, you could add that 1 defense mod there, and you'll probably get a massive amount of defense if you do add that, because 160%. So whatever this is going to go to, like close to 20. Yeah, probably will be about 20k. I can't math right now. It's like super late. We just had a 12-hour stream testing out these Enzo builds. But yeah, that would probably be like a massive amount. Or you could even just go for HP as well. So totally up to what you put in that last mod socket. And then last but not least, we'll quickly look at the Tamer. Now this build will work with any weapon. I really think it's going to shine with high crit weapons, like the Thunder Cage could be really strong with it, as well as the Afterglow Sword, which is the sniper rifle. I want to actually try that. That is my dream build right now. So we're going to be working on the Afterglow in the next few days. But for now, we are using the Tamer, and actually pushes this thing to some crazy levels. Because obviously we're getting like the massive crit rate. When we're actually in game, when we're fighting, we have all our buffs up. We have 62% crit rate on the Tamer, as well as the 15% increase weak point damage on top of this 57. And then we also have some more firearm attack. We got 20% increased firearm attack. So this is what my Tamer build looks like. I'm not going to cover this too long, as we're going to cover this in a different video. But there is the Tamer build we are rocking. So if you want the same results, this is kind of something you want to have to build up. This did take quite a bit of investment. But like I said, this build will be very good with any high crit weapon. Even the Eternal Willpower, I'm sure a lot of you guys know about the Eternal Willpower, but this thing actually has a very high base crit rate of 20%. So if you put like mods and you mod this thing up with all of my buffs from the Enzo, I'm sure you could get this close to 100%, if not over 100% crit rate. So that is definitely some things I'm going to want to try out in the next couple of days. As well as the Thunder Cage. The Thunder Cage, I believe, also has around 15 to 20% base crit rate. But that's going to be it for the video. This is a lengthy one. Sorry I took so long to get any build videos out to you guys, but I like to thoroughly test everything before I just plop out a build. So let me know what you guys think of the Enzo build. Any Enzo mains out there? I really like Enzo. I wouldn't say I'm a main Enzo, but he's definitely one of my most favorite characters. He's really OP. And if you have Enzo with a group full of Glaze, you can just watch bosses melt. So come over to the streams over at twitch.tv/Augiesaint. We'll be streaming pretty much every single day, and we do play with quite a few Glaze, and they like to go brrr. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked the video, please drop a like and a sub, and I'll catch you beautiful people on the next one, as well as in the streams. Augiesaint out.
Run free and dive into the sky. Hear the